Thanks so much. Nice to see you guys this morning. What a great crowd. So Karen, that was, Richard?
Just for you, Bill.
Oh, no, no, not for me. Karen, that was an awesome, I love your whole thing about networking. The only problem I've got with that is where were you 12 years ago when I first started my business and I was out beating my head against the wall trying to do all that networking stuff. Where were you? I mean, I could have really used your help at the time. But networking, as you know, is an important part of marketing. I mean, it's an integral part of it. But one of the things that I've learned over the years, I know a lot of us do marketing, right? We're doing our social media, we're doing our blogging, we're faithfully doing all the marketing things we need to do. But we don't do any of it. What we do is we rely exclusively on our ability to connect with people through our strategic community that you see here today. As a matter of fact, about 95% of our clients over the last 8 years has come through connecting with people through our community. I'm not suggesting it's not that the other marketing things aren't important, but for us, we like the idea of being able to connect with people, and we do that through all of the partners that you see here today. So that all started back, I guess, around, let's see, it would have been around 2007 when I left my job as a corporate VP of sales. And we've gone from about 32 salespeople to about 100. And so it just seemed to me that after growing the business from $100 million to $280 million, it was time to exit and to do something different. So Ann and I talked it over. Ann was still working at the time, so she had my back, which is a great place to be. But we started Simply Successful. And the idea was at the time, to go out and take what I had done with C-suite executives and go out and sell that in the marketplace to small business owners. Problem. I don't know about you if you've ever experienced that. You leave, you think you've got a handle on what you're doing, and I ran right into a brick wall with 3 challenges that blew me away. They just absolutely blew me away. So Karen, thank you for on networking. But honestly, when I first started networking, I used to come home. I was one of those doomsday people that we talked about earlier. I used to complain all the time to Ann, right? No, she got, really, I think, honey, you got sick and tired of me coming home. Oh man, this is really blah, blah, blah. And so honestly, I don't do networking anymore. It is not anything, fortunately, because of all the people the relationships that we've built over the years. It is not anything that I do. I occasionally go to Jim's group, but that's another kind of group where I have deep relationships with, and I'm just not out networking. So I couldn't handle all the people out there were doing the same thing I was doing. They were all sellers, there were no buyers. Right, and so, and Bob, I know when you and I, talk about this, I had recommended to Bob, cut back on the networking and just go to 2 or 3 really powerful things where you can build relationships, and so that really has served me well. The other thing was, I was really used to being around a team. I was used to being around a team of people, surrounded by all kinds of people that you could work with. All of a sudden, I found myself in isolation. Now I'm all by myself, I'm a solopreneur, I'm out there in the marketplace, and frankly, it freaked me out. It was really a difficult time in my career. Next was the complexity. I began to realize how complex business really was. So while I had this unique set of skills that I felt like I could help people with, my clients wanted a lot more than what I had to offer. So in addition to a myriad of other issues, those are the 3 things, though, that really that I found really difficult to overcome. So I reached back into my corporate experience and thought, okay, what can we do? What is it that we can do? Well, I knew that there were all kinds of resources structured in a corporate way. You know, there was human resources, and there was finance, and there was legal, and there were, you know, all of the things that you need to run a business. I thought, you know, why can't we do that? Why can't we do that in the entrepreneurial world? So the people that you met here today, if you think about all of the various things that they do, it's part of that ability to go out and get the resources that you need, but they're all there. I mean, there's not anything that I would need to do that I can't turn to one of the partners to get that done. So we took that structure idea and just went out and implemented it for E4E. The other thing was, I don't know about you, I'm not a big transactional salesperson. I don't like to sell widgets. To me, it's all about relationships, it's about trust. And so it was a very easy transition for me to focus on building relationships and not going out into that transactional world with, hi, you know, my name's Bill Prenatt, here's my business card. Oh, you're Lisa Oxenhandler, you know, thanks for your business card. So it was an easy transition for me. Lastly, because of the large sales force, I had 100 salespeople that I was mentoring. So it was an easy transition to go out and go, hey, let's go and do that same thing for people who are in the small business world. So that's kind of the way I responded to the issues that we had. So the experience has paid off for me. I mean, the whole thing was incredible. So now I started going, okay, now I know who I want to meet. I'm just not out just meeting anybody. I got a pretty clear picture now of the kind of people that I wanted to meet. So when I interviewed people, I had focus on what we were doing. I wasn't just, you know, talking to people in random. I was selecting people for who I had kind of thought could be part of our community. Also, I developed a radar for meeting clients where they are. So I'm not a program person, and I'm not a real fan of offering programs. So what we did is we went out and said, okay, what are your problems? And because of the relationships that we had, we could solve problems for almost anyone. And so I built that into radar. Relationships, I wasn't out just talking to anybody. Now the people that I met were people who valued what I valued. Those are the people that I hung around with. People who saw things the way I saw them. Those are the kinds of people that I started hanging around with. Other people, I'm not saying I was ever rude, but I began to selectively look for people who were like-minded. The last thing is I am not a big fan of fear or competition. So at E4E, excuse me, there is no competition. We don't, in the 8 years that we've been part of a group, there's never been anyone who created a problem over competition. That's because we are all abundance-minded and we are not a fear-based culture whatsoever. Excuse me. E4E has 3 purposes: satisfy clients, support my colleagues, and grow our business. So let me give you some examples of how that works. So Jim Canada has a remarkable company. And so Ann and I had a need for what were we going to do with our computers. Well, she met Jim Canada. We went and now Jim's company does all of our technology work. But interestingly enough, I had a client who was a major client of mine who, guess what? They needed all kinds of technology support. So now I know Jim, and so I'm comfortable with Jim, right? I'm not just picking somebody that I just met. Jim and I know each other. We work together. I know what his company's capable of. So I introduced them to my client. So now what do? I have a satisfied client. I support my colleague Jim, and also we grow our business. Now that's a trifecta as far as I'm concerned. Right? When you can have those kind of relationships where you're helping your clients, you're helping a colleague, and you're helping your own business, that is just an ideal situation. So let me give you a few other examples. So one of my clients needed outsourced CFO. Well, I met Lori St. Clair. Lori became part of our group. Lori did a remarkable job over, was it 2 or 3 years, Lori? Yeah. Where you were their outsourced CFO. So they were in desperate trouble. Lori walked in, she takes that over. So what do? I satisfy my client. I support my colleague, and the client looks to me as a resource to grow their business. And so I get more business as a result of that. After 3 years, Lori goes, look, they really don't need me anymore. They need to go in-house with their, well, guess what? Dale Furtwängler, who has incredible background in finance, helps transition that person who was their finance person and mentored, Nate for what, 90 days, 120 days, Dale, roughly. So Dale transitioned them. So what did I do? Satisfied my client's needs, supported my colleague Dale, and the client looks to me for throwing business my way. I have another client, they rely almost exclusively on technology and the internet. That's not my deal. I don't know that. So I said to Will Hankey, Will, could you do an audit of my client? And so he did an audit of them, and then he presented that to them. What did I do? Satisfied my client, supported Will, and in turn, the client looks to me for resources. So you see how it works. I could go on and on and on of the people that we've done this with. But you can see how effective it can be. Same thing though, satisfy clients, support colleagues, and grow business. What I'd like you to do at the end of the table there, you'll see that there is a handout, a little stack of. What I'd like to do is I'll take you through a little bit of this, but then I'm going to ask you to participate in this and to think about how you might be able to execute this in your business. Okay? So what I'm going to do is take you through how we did it. This isn't like something I just heard about. This is really how E4E evolved. So what did we do? The first thing we do is decided about the categories, right? So what categories of people do you want to have in your life that you feel, based on those criteria, that can serve you, that they're people that will also serve your clients? So that's where it all starts. They need to be like-minded people though, right? It doesn't mean that just because they do X, Y, and Z services, that's a good fit for you. So once you decide that who you want in that, what categories you want, the next thing is, do you have a really good relationship with this person? Do you feel comfortable with them? Because that's the second step. Now, E4E has fees to come to. I'm not recommending that you get into that, certainly not when you get started. But it's all informal, it's all face-to-face. But the key is getting the right people in one room, sharing ideas, and building trust, right? It isn't about making it complicated. It's about going, you know what? There's 100 people that I met. 10 of them are people really that I want to follow up on. 90 of them, that doesn't make them bad people. Not a fit for me. Not a fit for me, not a fit for my business, not a fit for my clients. So it can be a little dangerous. It can seem a little daunting to you that, well, wait a minute, but I need all of these other people in my network. If they're not going to refer people to you, if you can't refer people to them and you can't make that part of a referral network, you really have to wonder if it's really worth investing your time. So what I'd like you to do is to think about your business, think about your clients, and just jot down three. I'd like you to just jot down 3 people and companies that you think might be a good fit for you to help you start your community. And then I'm going to ask to go around the room and then ask you to share your what you came up with. So, not complicated. How do you feel about them? Do you feel really comfortable with them? And what categories would fit with your business? Try to answer that. Just come up with 3, if you will. Who has some ideas that you'd like to share? I'd be interested in knowing. Cynthia.
So I have 3 areas. One was my client needed human resources help, and so I called on Bill Prenatt, and that worked out really well. Bill, you have coached me so much for my own business on sales and marketing, and then I've also brought clients in with me to meet with you and to take advantage of that expertise. And then Kara Gamber and Will Hankey, both of let's see, Will's helped me with my business and then also with my clients. And Kara and I have worked together for my clients. So I can sort of see now that I have this starting to form.
The early stages
Yeah.
of building your own network.
Yeah.
I mean, your own community. Thank you. Who else has got something you'd like to? Yes, Lori.
Yeah, so very similar. Human resources, Lisa Oxenhandler has been a tremendous help to me in building my company and finding the right fit. Like-minded is key there, making sure that they have a similar profile as I do, and goals and things. Marketing and sales, both Karen Fox and Tiffany Hockelman have helped me on my business with that, as well as being able to refer them out to others. Productivity, Kathy Sexton was a key person in my life, helping me learn to better delegate and allow me to grow and bring on staff. Financial and business planning, worked closely with Dale on kind of when I rebranded a few years ago, as well as we worked together on a mutual client that you had us in contact with. Alliance Technology, also wonderful, helped me in a pinch, as well as work mutually on a client with Bill. And then emotional support, this isn't a group that I've been with for, I don't even know how long now, 12 years maybe. I keep saying 11, but I think I've said 11 for at least a year or so. But that group of people there's several of you guys in the room, Kathy, Thad, and I'm going to miss someone, I'm sure, Karen, Tiffany, who did I miss? Dale. That's a group that we got together years ago and has been just an absolute cornerstone in support for the business. So a lot of people in this group.
Thank you, Lori. Who else has got something you'd like to share? Bob.
Need the microphone. Tech services, basically, Will Hankey hosts our website, and anytime I have a question, I send him an email and he gets back to me. So that's a nice resource to have. As far as marketing and sales go, utilize Cynthia with putting our brochure together and branding and all of those things, and that's been really great. If I need office supplies, I know I can call Mark, and it comes very quickly, so that's been really great. And for my own physical well-being, I have Dr. Fazio, and he keeps me on the right track.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share? Mark, how are we doing time-wise? How about one? Do we have time for one more? Anyone else want to share? Anyhow, you guys get the idea. It's a mind shift away from spending a lot of time working with people who don't make a difference in your life to spending quality time with people who do. So this is your strategic community. It'll only happen if you make it happen. I think it's a great idea. I can only tell you that E3 has changed my life because I'm very conscious now and I select the relationships that I hang with. I'm very intentional about the resources that I use. And in 2013, because we were successful, Ann was able to leave full-time employment and became part of E3, and that, of course, brings great joy to my life. So I'm very grateful for the people that I've met and the relationships that we've built, and I can't imagine doing it any other way now. So call on me to help you. I'll be more than happy to help people build your own community. You can either send me an email, we can talk about it today, but I am absolutely convinced that it's the future. That in the future we are all going to be having our own little community. We may be part of a larger community, but we're going to have our own community, and it'll serve us well. So what questions do you have about building? Yes? Brian?
You mentioned at the top of your presentation that when you first started serving the small business community, you found that your skill set was narrower than what your clients needed. Did you expand your skill set also, or just find people to help fill in the gaps?
I'd say a slightly expanded. Great question, Brian. Slightly expanded. Mostly, though, became really familiar with what everybody can do. I spent a lot of time understanding people and what they can do. So I didn't really expand that much. I mean, why am I going to want to do something when I can have a lawyer who knows what he's doing? Dale?
You know, one of the things I'd like to emphasize is not a question, it's a comment, because I've used the same approach that you've used over the years. And the thing that I found intriguing was that I became the only phone call my clients made because they either knew that I could do it or I knew somebody that could do it. So I always got first shot at their business because they knew that with one phone call they could get what they needed.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you've been doing, and that's why you've been so
Yeah.
successful.
Thank you, Dale. It's really proven to be true. Any other comments? I think we're out of time. I don't want to. Thanks so much. I hope you guys will start your own communities if you don't have it already.